Okay, so for today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a basic strategy from the stand-up. I think either people will find this video either too basic or they'll find it over their heads, because I find that either people are really good at the stand-up, they have wrestling or judo experience, or they have zero. So hopefully maybe this will sort of bridge the gap in between. Alright, so first we need to know how to grip fight. Let's just learn how to deal with some common grips. What he's going to do is just grab here. We're not going to make it realistic, I'm just giving you a tool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab his gi, mostly with my back 2 or 3 fingers like this. Right here, just right on the cusp of the sleeve. Now with my right hand, getting close right here. With my right hand, I'm going to take this part of my thumb and put it against that part of his thumb. So I'm going to put it right here, like a chicken drum to chicken drum, I guess you could say. So what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to cup it. Now I'm going to arch my body backwards as I push both of my hands this way. Notice how I like peeled it away. This is legal, this gripping right here, because I'm not grabbing any of the fingers. So he grabs, I make the grip here with my back fingers. I grab right here and then peel it away as I pull backwards and push with both of my hands. Now you're going to need a tool for when he grabs your sleeve too. This is the same stuff as on the ground. So he grabs my sleeve. Let's say you make like the rolling grip, less common for stand-up, more common for on the ground for open guards and stuff. I'm going to circle my hand and my thumb, look at this, my thumb finds underneath his wrist and I continue to circle and then twist out. So once again, I come here, always circle to the outside. So don't go to the inside because then you're going to have to go too far. It's an additional rotation for you to do. I come to the outside, my thumb finds underneath his wrist like this, and then use that thumb as leverage to complete the twist. So a nice drill you can do as a warm-up or whatever, he grips the gi here, immediately strip the grip. He grips the gi here, I strip the grip. There's more than these two ways to do it, but I find they're very effective in most situations. So, what I'm going to do here. Let's say we're gripped up with each other. So we're going to start with grips. There's a whole other game before you get grips and everything. Right as he grabs my gi here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this grip. I'm going to put my thumb with thumb, come backwards. Now look at the handwork here. I'm going to take a step into him as I rotate and come to this position right here. Come get the other angle right here. I think it'll be a little bit better. So for whatever reason he grabbed my gi. I'm going to grab right underneath, strip his grip. Now watch my right hand. It's going to rotate over as I come in here. This is called the Russian 2-on-1, Russian arm tie, Russian 2-on-1. Those are the names for the position there. Any sort of variation there with him. So I strip the grip and I come in here. Now this is my preference. The classical way to teach the technique is right here underneath. I like this because I have the gi. This is how I modify the technique for the gi. There's plenty of people that do the Russian like this. Okay, but I like to keep that gi or have that gi control right here. Now when I'm in the Russian, I don't want to just be loose with him. I want to connect our bodies. So I'm going to shrug down my shoulder. You see how that made him come down to this position? So I got to connect our body position here. Okay, so once again we come here. Now, it was just inspired to harp on another point here. I can't let him get his grips in real tight. If I let him settle in, hunker in on this grip, and then I try and strip it, you might be out of luck. But if we're here, he grips the gi right away, that's good for me. So there's a lot of nuance in how you grip and do it real quick, so you need to practice that. Then I rotate and come to the 2-on-1 and come here. Now I find that this is the easiest and least athletic way to take the guy down from this position. What I'm going to do, I don't exist in this position for too long. I'm just going to kind of drag the arm across and I'm going to hug his waist. Like this. And I want to be kind of like we're making like a T. Like this position here. If your arms aren't long, you can do this grip. You can grab a little bit stronger if you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick out my leg. And then I'm going to sit down on my butt. I rotate and come on top here. I like this one, like I said, I'm not too athletic of a guy. And this one is less of a dogfight than some of the other techniques here. So we're grappling right here. Right away, don't let him hunker in on this grip. Watch the rotation of the right hand. I come in and I shrug my shoulder, I connect my bodies, or upper bodies. Now I drag the arm across and make the grip here. You notice I'm already kind of in that position. I stick out, I fall, and I rotate on top. Hopefully getting ready to get in the back or a hip escapes in for side control. That's technique number 1 from here. So come in here, he grips my gi, pop it off. Come to the 2-on-1. Now, for whatever reason, I don't feel that I can drag it across and get control of his hip in that manner. What I can do is this. I'm going to do a slide step with my right foot. Watch this. It's going to go right where my left foot is. Like this. Slide, slide, slippity slide. Now what I'm going to do, my first movement is not to take him down. It's to get him thinking and to disbalance him a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to go straight up like this. Now, as we're here, watch my left leg as it hits the ground. It's going to go behind his left leg. And then I ankle pick. This is a good one too. It's not too athletic. We're in here. We're here. I'm going to slide in, go up, behind his ankle and here. If your training partner doesn't have good base, sometimes they just fall over with the first movement. And when you really do it, when you're live, I think the ankle pick is almost like the icing on the cake. It's not like the main portion of it. Because he's already kind of going down with the momentum of my position. Right here, slow motion, rest, right here. I come in, I come, now watch. I'm going to drive my weight. You see how he was like already going over by the time I got to the ankle? A lot of times people will ankle pick with the wrong hand, so make sure you do that. So I think those are 2 very good moves from this position. I think it's important that people have some sort of setups for their takedown. If we're here and we're starting, and I do like the Superman shot, and I'm coming in, it's not really going to be effective against high-level guys. What's going to be effective is you set up your shot somehow with some sort of tie-up. You know, snap down into a shot or the rush in into some sort of technique like the ones we showed today. So think of the rushing as like a vehicle in order to do all the techniques available to you in wrestling and judo. So from here, you can go directly to a single leg. You can get that single leg. You can go to a double leg. You can duck under here and get the takedown. It's a lot of things that you can do. I really like this because I don't need to be too explosive to get the takedown. If I choose not to set up my shot and we're here, I notice he's standing up a little too straight and I go for my shot. Heck, I've probably never taken somebody down like that. Because the distance is so great. It gives him, Alex is much quicker than me too, it gives him a chance to react. And all this space, that's too much time for me. You can do it if you're explosive. But from here, we're very close. Even if this position only exists but for a moment, look how close. You can get a single leg one of many ways. You can drop down, you can go on your leg, you can use this one to kind of pick it up. There's lots of different techniques to get the single leg because you're so close. Okay, so I want you to encourage that type of thinking of just not, I mean, lots of curriculums in jiu-jitsu, they just teach single leg, double leg. That's their takedown curriculum. You need more, and hopefully this will be an intro to that. Now, let's move on to another topic. Undercovered, that'll be kind of the theme for this one, and that's wrist locks. Let's start from an easy wrist lock that maybe some of you know, and then we'll branch out from there. When I'm in the triangle here, one of the reactions my opponent might have is he might grab my gi right here, and he might want to bring my leg to the ground, do that type of escape. Anytime from the triangle that his wrist is grabbable, I'm going to grab it right here. Kind of like splitting the distance between his wrist and his arm, right there. Now what I'm going to do is come over the top and make this kimura-like grip. Strip the grip if there is one, and then I come over here and start to shoulder lock him. Once he runs out of flexibility, watch how he leans a little bit. You see how he leaned to alleviate the pressure? That's exactly when I want to go. Watch this. I release this grip, come over the top, I pinch my elbows together, and I fold him down really quick. So once again, from here, I grab the wrist. That's the hardest part, is grabbing the wrist. Come underneath, grab my own wrist, strip the grip if there is one. You can do it from a number of different situations. Then I start to take them over, and then switch. Folding down. Now the wrist lock can be applied this way, and it can be applied this way. I'm going to show you from the guard now a way that you can do the other type of wrist lock. He's going to grab my gi. Go ahead here like he wants to stand up. He's pinning my arm. And for this, he's going to make it a little bit easier by keeping his wrist up like this. There's a couple of other variations that you may need to learn. Now, if I start to bring my hand backwards like this to strip the grip, some people grab their own head and kind of posture backwards. A lot of people will continue to hold there. And I think that exposes the guy too much. Not only to wrist locks, but to other things. So right here, for instructional purposes, he's going to keep his wrist down. I come here, and he's not letting go. I want him to let go, but he's not. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a judo chop right here. As I fold his wrist backwards, watch. I chop to break his arm. I open my guard a little bit to create a wall so he can't withdraw his elbow a little bit. And it's almost like we're holding hands from this position. Right here, just don't grab fingers. Don't grab 3 or fewer fingers. So here it grabs, I bring it backwards to strip. He's holding on, man, I would love it if he stopped. Judo chop. And then I go to the same position. Notice how it's like this, I pinch my elbows, and the knee kind of filled the space along with me kind of cinching up here, because it's too crowded in this ish. Okay, right here. Come on. It's quick, wrist locks. They're quick, they're explosive, and they're painful. So, be careful when you're trying this on your opponent. Remember that they're illegal for blue belts and above. Now, another one from this position is if he grabs my belt. And I notice that he's being lazy with his wrists right here. The cool thing about wrist locks is that you can pretty much improvise them from a lot of different positions if the person's wrist isn't like firm and supple like this. There's some people who have no wrists. It's just like all forearm strength, and they're going to be hard to wrist lock. But pay attention to how he's holding. You see how it's like bent right here? What I can do from this position is I can give it another judo chop to break his wrist, and then I'm going to sit up like this position. Look how his wrist is broken. I hit it kind of hard, and his wrist broke. He's in trouble here, a lot of trouble. Now I'm going to grab both of my arms behind his tricep, and I sit up and crank the submission. It hurts bad. So right here, I sit up. You can even grab right here, sit up, chop. I pinch my elbows always, and his wrist can't go anywhere. So I sit up into him, look. It hurts. Some people are very flexible, they can't be wrist locked. Most people can. Some people can just touch the back. Those people obviously harder. Let's move into a different position. Let's move into the mount. Teach you 2 different wrist locks from this position. So I'm here in the high mount. My feet are on the hips. My knees are all the way under his armpits. I've advanced my position to here. Sometimes when I'm working for the cross choke, they keep it so tight like this, like they don't want the hand to get in. I can't get the hand in. I'm trying, no good. Move to something else. I brace my hand right here. Don't push, you can push a little if you want, but that's not the emphasis of the move. The emphasis is I'm gonna lean so much. Look how I'm even trying to touch over here. Now, once I'm trying to touch over here, I center up my body and I smash his hand on this side. Look how my whole body is smashing his hand to this side. And I put my head on the ground. One of the most important features of this position is putting the head on the ground to this side. It's what acts as your base. Because for this wrist lock, you need 2 hands. So your head is going to be very, very important in this. Now, I'm going to be posturing up as I talk, but that's just so you can see down here. Okay, with my head on the ground, come over here, this might be the best angle. With my head on the ground, there's 2 ways I can do it. One way is I just grab the wrist, same as before, like I split the distance between his wrist and his hand, and then I come a little bit higher with this one, and his wrist, his arm can't go anywhere because my body's trapping it, and I pull hard. You You can also do it with the reverse setup. I come under his arm and I grab this one first. Or I come under his neck, sorry, early in the morning when I film these videos. I come under his neck and I grab his wrist, splitting the distance between his wrist and his forearm. Now, the other one goes a little bit higher, and I rotate my left arm in front of his head. Now from here, I crank. The cool thing about this one is, usually when he starts to feel some pressure, he oompas you this way, and he ends up giving the back. Because it's so easy to take the back when your feet are on the hips like this, and his arm is already crossed. So you're gonna find that very easy to take the back. So usually this wrist lock maybe works a little less than 50% of the time when I'm in this position, and then the other kind of maybe 60% I take the back, so it's maybe 40-60. Okay? Another one is from the arm bar position. Many of you know the wrist lock where they hold their hands incorrectly. We're gonna do it in this position where he's more or less holding his hands well. Okay? So notice how for this particular one, the hand I'm arm barring, his palm is up. Now it depends. I'm gonna go either way with this wrist lock. For this one, I'm gonna do the one where I bend his palm backwards like this. I'm gonna grab right here across all the fingers. Don't grab individual fingers once again. Now what I'm gonna do is I move this up a little bit. By moving this up, you see how his wrist is more inclined to bend backwards. So I'm here, I grab, keep it a little bit more firm. Good, and then I move up. You see how that created a little bit of backward motion with his wrist? Now I release my arm from my own wrist, and I come underneath and grab here. Notice how I'm kind of shrugging to fill the space of his elbow back here. Then I pull like heck. And here I would not switch to the arm bar back again. Okay, I would just take the wrist lock right from here. So once again on this one's a little tricky. You see people doing weird arm things. So right here, I grab it just to get a good grip. I'm not like cupping, I'm just kind of keeping it there. Then I rotate my arm up to create a bend in his wrist, just like the judo chop serve for other positions. Now, don't unlace your arm. Some people come over the top, weird things. Just take it, come right here, grab your own hand. Now I'll just pull. As I kind of shrug everything inward, elbow in tight. Now look at this. Sometimes you're going for this move and he overcompensates by making his wrist super firm the other direction. It's pretty easy, this one. I grab right here over the top, right on his knuckles, and then I grab my own hand, and look, it's the wrist lock the other way. One more time. So right here, you see, he's keeping his wrist super firm. He doesn't want the wrist lock that way. So I grab wrist on his knuckles, grab here, and then pull. Cool. More. Side control. A lot of the time, what somebody will do when they try and escape is they'll try and get an underhook, right? Underhook and bridge and come to their knees, etc. So I'm going to be ready for that. I'm going to keep my right hand a little bit lower. So I pinch his hip right here. Now he starts to go under, looking for the underhook with this arm. Go ahead. As he does, I catch his bicep like this. This is really just a good technique if you just want to kill his underhook. I mean, this is great. But I can also wrist lock from here. This is not a good position for him if I'm able to catch this early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my left hand over and kind of keep it near his elbow. Now, his hand is too deep to wrist lock right now. If I were just to try and wrist lock, it wouldn't work. So what I need to do is I need to posture up a little bit. And I kind of shrug. I felt his wrist just break. Because look, it's right here. It's no longer completely under my armpit. It broke a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I can finish just by cupping his arm right here and putting the weight down into his arm. Or, if I feel appropriate, I can switch here and really get the wrist lock. Sorry. So once again, I'm right here, I'm ready for it. I'm expecting it, that's the key. Go ahead. I got it. Over. It's almost there. He's carrying a little tension. Right here. Manipulate it, and then I got it. Okay? So, those are some good wrist locks from that position. You can apply the same type of concept from different hand positions, where it's kind of cupping here on my shoulder, from the half guard as well. But I'm going to move on. Starting from the knees. Same thing as starting from standing. I notice my opponent grabbing my knee, but he grabs a little bit lower So when I come into him, there's some body behind it. If it's too high, it's going to slip off the top when I try and come in. Okay? So a little bit lower, and also I'm noticing his wrists are not firm. A lot of people will grab the gi like with a limp wrist, like this or like this. I mean, maybe not as extreme as that, but they'll kind of be broken a little bit. So that's what I'm looking for with my opponent here. Now, just like the other wrist locks, I can do it either way. I notice his bend is more inclined to come inwards like this. So that's the wrist lock I'm going to go for. It's very similar to the one from the closed guard where he grabbed my belt. What I'm going to do, I can give it a little chop and then come in behind his wrist here. And he's totally screwed from this position. His wrist is folding in, and then I get the tap. It can also go the other way. But I generally come like underneath, like almost like I'm going for an arm drag, and you can chop right here. You can see his wrist right there was very firm. If I want to go the other way, it's the other way, like this. It's tough. The cool thing about wrist locks get a bad reputation. And the reason is people think that you don't need to, they see a lot of Aikido, they think that there's no control of the body. But there are certainly a lot of positions where the wrist lock is a pretty fundamentally sound position because I can do it in a position of control. And I can do it without any risk. For example, let's take the one I did from the mount. Let's say I go for a wrist lock, nothing works. He's just got, he has like no wrist. You know those people that just like forearms are crazy, just goes into their hand and there's just no wrist lock there. I missed it, so what? I'm still in the mount. I missed it from the closed guard, so what? It didn't work. It's great, maybe the triangle one, I missed it, and then he crosses his own arm for the triangle. If I can get my opponent to be thinking about his hand position and be a little worried about it, wrist locks have served their purpose. If I go for the wrist lock from the closed guard right here, and he grabs my gi, I go for it quick, and he release and get out of it. But he sensed that I was going for the wrist lock. He felt the danger there. And then I come here and I sit up and I miss it. He's kind of scared to grab my gi now. And that's going to give me the time to do whatever it is that I want from the position. So if you keep him scared, it's mission accomplished. So I hope that these two kind of random, a little stand-up intro strategy and kind of some wrist locks, I hope that gives you some insight into some undercovered concepts in jiu-jitsu. Hope you enjoy.